League 6 is coming out on April 15th, and there's so much we just don't know yet. But there is one thing we do know, which is that some of the Echo bosses from the Raging Echo Leagues are making a comeback. However, not all of them are, and not all of their rewards. So let's get through some regions and speculate what they could be. Let's start off with an easier region like Fremennik. The Echo boss of this region was Echo Dagonoth Kings, which gave us a reward of 2 very strong pieces of jewelry, the Amulet of the Monarchs and the Emperor Ring. Both of these were just stat increases and didn't do anything interesting. There's only a couple other bosses in this region to consider for a new Echo boss. We have Vorkath, Vospa, and Duke. Duke assumes we have Desert Treasure 2 completed, and it already has an Awakened fight, so for that reason, I think the other 2 bosses are more viable options. Since the Ring and Amulet were really strong, they gave people more of a reason to pick Fremennik as a region, as it doesn't have that much other enticing content or shops to offer, other than the Stonemason shop in Keldagrim. But if we end up starting in Vlemore, we already gain access to a Stonemason, which makes Fremennik a much less enticing pick this time around, unless they offer the same rewards or something even better. And for that reason, I present to you the Corrupted Face Guard. Yama's newly obtained additional powers have corrupted some monsters and items around the world, making them much stronger than their usual forms. Instead of replacing the ring slot that you get from Vlemore or even here in Fremennik, you get a helmet slot, which already comes from this region for melee, but the Corrupted Face Guard works for all 3 styles. This, in turn, also makes Moritania and Candarin a good choice for an amulet as well, and doesn't remove the Zenyte jewelries or the Rancors or the Occult's appeal, like the Amulet of the Monarch did. Next, let's discuss the region being talked about the most, Vlemore. Last leagues we got Echo Soul, which gave you the champion himself's weapon, the Sunlight Spear and the Sunlit Bracers. The spear was really strong and could replace a lot of other gear since it was based on prayer bonus, which you can also get from the Colosseum. It also had a massively strong AoE special attack that was also typeless, which made it useful in some non-melee situations as well, like the Nilocus room in the Theater of Blood. Safe to say, it was a strong pick and super iconic. It would be hard to beat an item like the spear in this region, which is why I think it won't be making a comeback this time around. Although many really enjoyed using it, Vlemore has so much other content to offer, it would just be a shame if none of them were explored this time around, as much more has been added to the region since we last got to pick it. In this region we have Amoxliatl, Huey, all 3 of the Moon bosses, Doom, and even Vardorvis. Out of these, I think only Huey, Moons, and Amoxliatl would be considered for an Echo version, as again Vardorvis is dependent on Desert Treasure 2 and has an Awakened version, and Doom already has 3 huge upgrades to get from there. Since it is likely to be a starter region, I don't think they would put anything really strong in Vlemore either, if they even do put anything in there at all. It is already pretty saturated for decent upgrades, but if they do, it might just be the Devil's Element previously from the Candarin region, which was an underwhelming pickup at best. It would make sense if Vlemore is the starting region to get an item that is only really useful in the early and mid game. Amoxliatl fits really well for that, I think. Since I brought it up a few times already, let's talk about Candarin. Candarin was the least picked region overall last leagues at only 5% of players picking it, as not only did it not have much interesting content, but even the big upgrades such as Zenyte Jewelry and Occult Necklace were replaced by the Amulet of the Monarch. The only redeeming quality of the region was the early game potential it had for skilling, but even that wasn't enough to convince 95% of players to pick it over any other region. The Echo boss of this region was Echo Thermi, which gave you the Devil's Element, which boosted your elemental spells and gave you some extra magic damage bonus. A pretty lackluster item for a region which was not getting picked for its content, that's for sure. There is still the possibility of us starting in this region, which would change everything of course, but assuming that we don't, then the only way this region is getting better is by moving the Occult and Zenyte Jewelry's usefulness back here and having a new Echo boss, or perhaps the same one, with a more interesting drop than the Devil's Element. The only other real candidate to have an Echo version here is Kraken, but it could also remain to be Thermi as they both have high Slayer requirements and are similar in difficulty. An Echo Kraken or Thermi boss with a decent magic base drop would work really well for this region in my opinion, as it wouldn't step on any other region's drops and would create a unique reason to pick Candarin. Now let me introduce you to the Divine Amulet. With increased stats over the Occult, you would get this from Echo Thermi as it makes more sense to get an upgrade for the Occult from him. It would create an incentive for magic forward players to pick Candarin for not only its early game, but also its late game upgrade similar to Fremenic in the last leagues. For our next region, let's go over to Moritania, the second most picked region in the last leagues. Here we had Echo Grotesque Guardians, which, while offering a fun fight, offered a very niche pair of gloves, which were worse than the Sunlit Bracers. The potential of this zone is also pretty limited, as it offers one of the more popular raids available and only has 2 other bosses in the region. The Nightmare and its harder version, Phosanes, alongside Araxor. Moritania also has Barrows, which I don't think would make for a good Echo fight. Of the other 2 bosses, Araxor seems the most likely to become the new Echo boss in the area, but honestly, I think they might just keep the Grotesque Guardian fight as it was quite enjoyable, and maybe even keep the Gloves of the Damned as the reward, since the region already has so many great items to obtain. I would like to see the gloves replaced though, as the passive effect of it wasn't particularly interesting past the mid-game. Here's what I had in mind: the Gloves of Tithe. These gloves would have similar stats to the Gloves of the Damned to keep them a relevant glove choice, but they would have a new passive effect called a Blood Tithe, which has a % chance to inflict bleed damage on the target you're hitting, similar to a burn effect, but this would heal you as well. The usefulness of this effect would also depend on the new combat masteries and how much lifesteal effects those contain. Alright, let's check out Kurand next. Here we had Echo Hespori, which only had a 65 farming requirement behind it. Appropriately, it gave a mediocre mid-game weapon, the Nature's Reprisal, which helped bridge the weapon gap of other regions. This weapon wasn't anything special power-wise, but it did have the option to use all 3 combat styles in one. This probably made it more appealing for inexperienced players to try out the raid available in the region as well. Kurand doesn't lack content like other regions do, as not only does it have a raid with 11 really good drops, but also it has a skilling boss, numerous skilling activities, and 2 potential bosses for a new Echo boss, Seracnus and the Alchemical Hydra. If this region does get a new Echo boss, which I think it might, I would go with Hydra, as the power level gap that the Nature's Reprisal previously filled would be filled by starting in Vlemore. Although it has a decently high Slayer requirement, it would also make more sense than a low-level boss with no requirements at all. In this region, you get access to great ranged weapons, decent melee options, high-tier magic armor, and much more. But what you don't get is a boot slot, which is why I think the Lava Treads could be a good option for this area. These boots would be stronger than the Avernic Treads for melee only, and have the special ability to leave a small trail of lava pools behind it, and when an enemy walks across these pools, they take burn damage, similar to the Cursed Monkeys in TOA. It would only be fitting if we discuss the 3rd raids region next, so let's see what the desert has going on. Well, not much, which I guess makes sense since it is a desert after all. Last leagues we had Echo Calphite Queen dropping the Drygore Blowpipe, which was a pretty decent weapon overall. The issue with this region is that it only has one other boss, the Leviathan, which as I mentioned earlier, I don't see them making an Echo version of Desert Treasure 2 bosses, but if there were one region to have it, this would be it. If you take a look at all the regions containing raids, you'll notice that each of them had an option for all 3 combat styles, even if you disregard the mega rares from the other raids. For Kurand, the Nature's Reprisal completed the mage part of it. For Moritania, you have Barrows to complete the ranged part of it. And for Desert, you have the Drygore Blowpipe to fill in that slot as well. This leads me to believe that the Drygore Blowpipe will probably stay here and with the Calphite Queen. But perhaps they will go another direction, such as adding an armor set to Temporos, which you would fish up from the reward pool. I don't really see many alternatives for this region, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Next up, we have Asgarnia, a region that is full of classic content like the Dragon Defender, Void, and the whole host of God War's dungeon. Here, we also have Cerberus, the Echo boss of last league in this area, and we have a new boss as well, the Royal Titans. There are so many items to get from this region. It's probably the most saturated quantity-wise, but maybe not the best region quality-wise. Echo Cerberus gave us the Dog Sword last time around, which has seen its ups and downs in temporary game modes. I don't think they will reintroduce this item again though, and perhaps cooked up something else in the region. Perhaps it might even be something really strong to entice players to pick this region. Even though there are loads of items to obtain here, last time around it wasn't really worth it because of the other Echo items. I can see Nex having an Echo version, as this would create some hype for the region around trying to fight this strong opponent, but what would its drop look like? Well, how about the Chaotic Arbalest, a Zeroshan crossbow that got infused by Yama's demonic powers to make it even stronger by having a % chance to not cost any special attack energy. That's right, you can have a chance at speccing even 5 times or more with the crossbow. Imagine what you could do with this truly demonic strength. Let's head over to Tyranwin next, a region that while small has a lot to offer. Last league we had Echo Hunlift, which gave us the Crystal Blessing. To say this item was meta-defining is an understatement. It was truly a powerhouse for the melee forward players. This is exactly why I think they're going to mix it up in this region this time around. As mentioned, the area is small, so there aren't many boss options to pick from for a new Echo fight, but a classic monster like Zulrah would be perfect. Tyranwin has so many great upgrades from the crystal set and weapons to the blowpipe from Zulrah. I see this region as more of a connector that enables you to become powerful with the help of other regions, which is why the perfect item from an Echo Zulrah would be the Searing Eye. Crafted from the Eye of Zulrah herself and infused by devilish magic, this magic offhand would offer you unmatched magical power. It would empower you to get one-handed weaponry from other regions, like the Trident from Candarin, the Sanguinesti Staff from Moritania, or even the Ayak from Vlemore. Furthermore, it could have a passive effect that makes every creature in-game weak to fire spells, even the ones that originally aren't, which would open up your options even more. Finally, for our last region we have the Wilderness, an area few people pick for both fear of getting harassed by other players and because of the lackluster content available here. Perhaps the most well-known Echo item came from this region last league's Thunder Khopesh. It came alongside the 1000 Dragon Ward from Echo King Black Dragon. This weapon was the saving grace the Wilderness needed last time around, but what could we get this time around? It is a fan favorite weapon, and many would miss it if it wasn't reintroduced this league, but maybe this time we get something even stronger instead. Perhaps something as worthy of the fame and fortune the Khopesh have. The boss options are limited, but not too few to not have the possibility of a new and interesting encounter in this region. I personally would love to see Callisto get an Echo version, and perhaps it would drop the true Claws of Callisto, which tears a new dimension into their opponents to inflict maximal damage to not only their physical forms, but the ones beyond as well. There is also Kuram Region, which we will be getting for free. Previously, this didn't have an Echo boss, but you never know, maybe we get Echo Inferno this time. Safe to say, this is all speculation of course. We don't know what to even expect in terms of the new Echo bosses, but I hope you enjoyed this little exploration into what may be possible. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.